Hey, so I'm gonna do a quick update for you guys. I've been really busy lately with other work, and since we've been mostly sideways, other than like a couple small trades here and there, haven't really been doing much. Had some good shorts, good short-term longs. Mostly been just not doing shit because we're sideways, you know. But at this point, it's definitely time to add to my long-term bags. So we have on the 4 hour model, we got a nice trend line forming. Now, this could technically be a bear flag, but let me show you a few things. So, with the 4 hour model, big rejection from the bottom of the cloud, big rejection from the bottom of the cloud, big rejection from the bottom of the cloud. We keep rejecting from the bottom of the cloud on the 4 hour. Eventually, we're going to break through. Now, those rejections, I predicted them really accurately pretty much every time, right? Because every time we approached it, I would say if we break into the cloud, we're shooting up to the top of the cloud, right? We're going up to 45K. But each time we got rejected, so I didn't get into like huge longs. I kept saying I'm going to get into a big long if we break into the bottom of the cloud, right? This red cloud here. So now, after this last retrace, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Now, I've been bullish about a long-term recovery since the bottom. I haven't even considered going back to lows. I've said a few times you might go back to get lower than this prior bottom right here at 33 and a half, but I definitely don't think we go back below 30K. But we've held really well. I mean, if you look at the 4 hour model, going back days, we had a big move up, smaller move down, big move up. So far, smaller move down, right? And we have this retrace on the 4 hour, almost resetting. Looking at the dailies, not really that reliable lately. The weekly, we have a full reset on the Stoke, which is extremely bullish. We have a really aggressively bullish cloud giving us an uptrend there. Now, it's possible if we had some really bearish things come out, we could end up having like a big dump and go to newer lows and get that long-term multi-month correction. But I did a video recently where I talked about going back to 2017 into 2018. In 2018, we had a big dump, then we had a really big pump taking us almost back to the prior top before the next big leg down, which took months and months and months. So no matter what, I still expect a big pump. If we then see some sort of signs that maybe we're going to get another big dump or some negative news comes out, we can deal with it then. But at least for now, I'm very comfortable getting into larger long-term bags here. The weekly reset on the Stoke looks incredible. The fact that we've had 3 attempts and haven't broken into the 4 hour yet is fine, especially considering the fact that we're getting into the apex of this structure. If you look at BTC, which is kind of running the whole market, we have a nice trend line, trend line resistance and a trend line support. So in this triangle formation, we're getting into that apex. We could go a little bit lower, but we don't really have to. We could dip down really quick to 35.5 around there, go down just a little bit more into the 35s, and then get a bounce. Then that next attempt up. Once we break this trend line resistance, right, we're probably going to push into the cloud. And once we do that, we're going to shoot right up. As that happens, you'll see the rest of the market follow suit, including Ethereum and including the rest of the altcoins. Ethereum, we briefly broke into the cloud, but we never got above the 99 EMA here either. So the Ichima dynamics have been really strong for resistance. Right now, I have a short-term trade going, so immediately short-term. The shorter-term models, like the Stoke's really not reliable, so I'm relying on the Ichima dynamics here. So we have Ichima dynamic support at the 99 EMA in the top of the cloud, plus a horizontal support here. Going back over here, it was resistance. Here it was support. Here it was support, and it's still strong support right at the top of the cloud. So there's a big cluster of supports here, which is why I get into this short-term trade. Now, if we get the bounce here, we have another smaller trend line on Ethereum around over here. Getting above that would also be a good sign, but we could at least push up to that and get a nice run up to 2,600. We'll see how that plays out. If we don't get the bounce here and we go lower, it's not the end of the world. I'll lose a small amount because I have a 1.2% stop loss on this trade, but we don't really have a reliable model here on the Stoke short term. So it's problematic that we don't have reliable models in some of the time frames, but the 4 hour has been pretty on point. I mean, the 4 hour looks really good here. We already pushed into the cloud briefly. This is similar to what I was talking about with the 4 hour on BTC. See how we kept getting rejected right at the bottom of the cloud? And the bottom of the cloud was such a major resistance, it kept pushing us all the way down. We finally broke into the cloud here, but because BTC hadn't broken into its cloud, the whole market came back down a bit. But this was a really strong sign, the fact that we pushed up. We got rejected right from the 99 EMA, which is just, again, a testament to how great my Ichima dynamics are, because when you don't have a horizontal support or resistance there, you can anticipate a big dump based on that, or at least a strong resistance. So this move up, we now resulted in a little move down. We can see a nice wave structure here with the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we should be seeing that wave 5 soon, and we'll see what happens with wave 5. It's going to be closely tied to what we see on BTC. Somebody in the group had mentioned RSR looking good. I think RSR does look good. A lot of the alts do, though, so I don't want to say RSR specifically looks better or worse. Joey had suggested it. I think it looks good. We had a little bit of a falling wedge here, but not really that much data. We don't have that much on the support side going down, but I would extend the support out a bit and see if that holds. If it holds, that could be a really good opportunity to get in right above the cloud, similar to what I did on Ethereum, but without having a reliable model on the Stoke, it's tough. Now, the Stoke is really low, and it's good that it's this low, but we don't have a clear, repeatable pattern. Take a look at the 4-hour, and you can see the 4-hour model is far better. Got a wave up and a nice wave down. Once this 4-hour finishes its reset, I expect to start that next big bounce up, which is going to be very soon. I think it's a good time to get into longer term holds. I don't think it's a good time to get into short term trades, because you'll notice sometimes I pick these short-term trades and I get the initial breakout and then it just dumps back down, because we're right now in a very choppy market, and that's just how it works. It's really hard to do short-term trades with a tight stop loss. It's much lower risk when you have a nice short-term trade with a tight stop loss, but at the same time, it's very easy in environments like we're in right now to get stopped out and then lose money for no reason. It's much better to get into longer term positions. So now that we're at a potential low area, since we're getting pretty low in BTC here, we also have the bottom of the cloud on the hourly, right where I have this trend line support. The 4-hour, we don't have much there, but you know, we do have, let me see. Just curious. So we had that wave 1. I wonder, let me clean up some of these Fibonacci's, because I want to check something. It's a good way to use Fibonacci. So this would be wave 1, and then this is the wave 2 retrace, right? So if that happens, that means this is wave 1, that's wave 2. Wave 3 could take us up to the 1618 extension, right where that 99 EMA is about to intersect. You see that? How it sort of comes together? It would work out perfectly, because that key Ichima dynamic resistance has been really tough over here from the 55 EMA and the bottom of the cloud. It's a really strong area because that's Ichima confluence. We have multiple Ichima resistance levels from my Ichima model, the 55 EMA and the bottom of the cloud right there together, so it's going to be really hard to break through that. Plus we have this downtrend trend line resistance, right? Once we break through all that, we should blast up right to the 1618, and that'll be right where the 99 is. Then we get a little short-term dip, and then we can make that next attempt to push up higher into the cloud. I think that's how it might play out. So that could be a good potential target, getting really close to 40K, a little bit below, around the mid-39s. That might be a good target for the next move up on the 4-hour model. So once the 4-hour fully resets, like right here, the 4-hour reset, and we get a nice push up, right? So that next nice push up based on the 4-hour model could take us all the way up to close to 39.5 to 40K. And I think this is a good opportunity to get in. So getting in right here is not the end of the world. Getting down a little bit lower would be better. The problem is the hourly model doesn't give us much really with the Stoke to help us with precision, but I would say the bottom of the cloud and the trend line being right here, there's a pretty decent chance it could push down a little further to there. I think immediately in the short term, though, we might get a bounce on some of these assets. So we'll see if it depends what BTC does. So I got into an Ethereum trade here because we have all this strong support, but it could dip down a little bit lower, especially since BTC really hasn't fully settled down here, and it might need to come down a little bit more, but we're really close on the 4-hour. There's 5 minutes left on this 4-hour candle. It's possible the next 4-hour candle could start a bounce. I think it's also possible we get one more 4-hour candle that dips down to this trendline support, which is also right along on the hourly. You can see it in more detail. Hold on. Right where the bottom of the cloud is. We could dip down a little bit more for a couple more hourly candles, one more 4-hour candle. And what I would look for is, if that happens, if we don't get a bounce right away in 5 minutes on the 4-hour model, if the 4-hour candle gives us a nice immediate push up, that could be a sign that we're about to recover. And then I'd want to jump into a few. So I moved up a few, RSR, because Joey mentioned it. So I would get in to longer term holds. I would get a long term bag of BTC, ETH, Matic, Link, DOT, and Bitcoin Cash. And the reason I have those up at the top, I've had them up at the top for a while, although I've reorganized it a little bit, is because BCH has a tendency to move much more aggressively than the other majors. LTC, similarly. I might wait on the BCH entry and just get into the rest. I already have long-term bags on these because I've been accumulating since the bottom. Every time we bottom out, I buy a little bit more because I'm anticipating an overall long-term recovery. So I would say entering in a little bit more on those. I might put maybe another little bag into each because I've been accumulating with each local bottom, and I think this could be a bottom. I bought some down here. I bought some on this dip, just small amounts. So on this dip, I'll probably buy a little bit more, and then I don't think I'm going to get any more for a bit. Because I've accumulated enough, but I want you guys, if you haven't entered yet and you wanted to get in now, I don't want you to necessarily stay out because I'm not buying. I'm only not buying because I've already accumulated enough, but I'm still going to get a little bit more. Once we bottom out around here, especially since it could be a good short-term play, because it's possible we might bounce up to this resistance again and then still come down again. At least that short-term could give me some nice gains. So I'm going to add a little bit to my existing bags on RSR, which I don't have any yet, but Joey mentioned it, and I agree, it looks good, similar to the other alts. If it pushes up into that 4-hour cloud, it's going to pump hard. So I think RSR, BTC, ETH, BCH, Matic, Link, and DOT would be the best way to spread around a little bit of capital because they've all been moving very aggressively. I think JST, ETC, OMG, Cody, OGN, those are all good plays too that I think could make a solidly big bounce. But for now, I'm starting with the initial list that I just shared with you. So that's what we're watching for. We have 3 minutes. We're going to see what happens with this next candle. One thing that can happen here, and it's something you often see in these scenarios. Let me see if I can show you like here, right? This is a bit of a doge. You get a big wick up and a big wick down, and in the middle, you have the body of the candle is pretty constrained. It's relatively tight. This one's a little bit big. I'd still consider that a doge. But right here, right, that's common where you come down, you'll get one of these and you'll get a reversal. This reversal didn't hold and it came down, but that's fine. You see the point. Those reversal candles could be a great indicator. I think it'd be better to spot them on the hourly though than the 4-hour, like here. When we get all the way down to the bottom, that's a doge, right? So this big dump down right here, there's our doji right there. We turn green, big wick up, big wick down right in the middle. We have that tight body. This big dump down, big wick down, wick up, right in the middle. There's that tight body. Over here, we had a double doge, but same thing. That doji candle, D-O-J-I, that's a potential reversal candle. And in that case, that was a perfect example of one. So we might see, look here too, right? When we get these reversals, it's common to see those dojis. Here was another one. Had the dump down, then we had this candle, and then the reversal. So we might see that occur over the next couple hourly candles. We might see a doji form where we get a spike up, spike down, right to this trend line support, maybe to the bottom of the cloud, and then we get a little spike up, and then we end up closing that candle with a nice tight body in the middle, similar to what we have right here, similar to what we have in these ones right here. And if you see that format of a candle, there's a really high probability of a reversal, especially considering the Ichimoku dynamic supports here from the bottom of the cloud, and considering the fact that the Stoke is bottoming out on these various time frames. Again, the hourly is not really a reliable Stoke model here. It was back over here with these big waves because that was a repeatable pattern. We don't really have that here. It's been zigzagging a lot, right? But we do have a little bit of a tightening wedge formation, which is really bullish to have a falling wedge. It's not a perfect falling wedge, but you can see the concept is still at play. You're getting slightly lower lows and you're getting slightly lower highs that are kind of combining and pushing down into that apex structure. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're going to see a bounce. I'm going to wait one more candle. I want to see, there's only a minute left. I'll stay on with you guys while we do that. I want to see initially how this next candle starts. I don't think it's going to explode or anything, but I'm curious to see if it starts off with a little bit of a bounce or if it starts out with a quick wick down to that main support. And then on Ethereum, again, I'm watching this. I have this short-term trade going. This horizontal support has been really good, and then on the hourly model, it looks like a really, really great support region because the Ichimoku dynamics are there. So hopefully that holds because initially I got the breakout and then it came back down a bit. Some of the lower time frames have been reliable, especially like the 15-minute right here. I think entering into Ethereum right here would be really good. If you missed my original entry, I think there's a really good chance of a bounce right here. Especially with that turning around on the 15-minute. The 5-minute's been really low for a while, and she's starting to turn up. I'm just going to quickly write in, if you missed in the group, if you missed my ETH entry, I'm adding to it now because it's a perfect spot to bounce. I'm typing this during an update video, so you will see a more detailed breakdown shortly. I think I'm going to share this update video publicly as well. So for those who didn't hear my earlier announcement, I've been sharing a lot more of these videos publicly because without Twitter now, it's hard for me to bring new people to the group, and I really want public people who follow me on YouTube to see quite how incredible these models are. I mean, if you understand how these models work, like what did I just say? We're going to bounce here. This support's going to hold. Watch this. There's a really, really high probability we bounce here. And I could be wrong. It could dump. And I'll admit I was wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. But so far, this horizontal support and my Ichima model is screaming at me that we're going to bounce here. So we'll see if I'm right. And I like people in the public space to see, you know, Jesse, Darth Crypto, your models are great. I want to come learn to do what you do. So I want to join the group. And it's been a good way to try to get some exposure and bring new people to the community, because the more people we have in our private trading group, it's better for everybody. Because people learn from other members and people come up with trade ideas. A lot of people in the group will find really good trades because they know my systems and my trading techniques and strategies, and they'll find something that I haven't seen and say, hey, look at this token. It looks really good. I'll check it out, and that might be a really good trade that all of us get into and make a ton of money. So it's great having a larger community because we all like out for each other and help each other. So I've been sharing a lot more publicly. I'll share this one publicly, but I'm going to phase that out. I'm not going to be sharing these updates publicly as often, and I'm mostly going to be doing the more detailed video updates only for the premium members. My basic members, as much as I love you guys, I really want to focus as much of my energy as I can on the premium side of the group, because those members are paying more because they want to learn, and this is really a great way that I can. It's a great venue for me to teach them. And if you didn't pay for premium, you're not really paying for the educational side of the group. So I'll do occasional updates so you guys are up to date on my models and what I believe is going to happen with the market and various trade ideas. But I'm not going to be doing all these videos for you. It's going to be mostly for premium members. We're already getting the bounce just like I predicted. The Stoke model is aligned up with my horizontal support model as well as my Ichima dynamic support structure. So all in all, my model's really locked in right now. I mean, I'm calling this with an incredible level of precision. So hopefully people who follow me on YouTube will see, holy shit, I got to learn how to do this stuff. And guys, it ain't that hard. Look at the stuff I show you. My Ichima model has these lines, the EMAs, plus different ways of employing the top and the bottom of the cloud. And I have my stochastic oscillator down here, which right now it's not particularly locked in, but when it is locked in, I can come up with some incredibly precise reversal calls. So people in the group are going to see this video in a few minutes. They just got an announcement that I'm adding to this entry right here, which I'm actually going to do from my phone. Hold on. Okay. So I'm adding to that position. Okay. And people in public, you might not be able to get into this trade with me anymore because you're obviously not going to see this until the video goes out and available publicly. But at least you'll see, if you're in tune with my model and you know what I'm doing and you learn how to do this stuff, you guys can make a lot of money trading. It's really not that hard if you invest the time and the energy into learning. So I'm going to share this with everybody. And then I'm going to do a live stream tonight because I haven't done one in a couple days with my premium members. And that's something I don't share publicly. That's only for premium. So if you guys follow me on YouTube, if you subscribe, I love your support and I appreciate it. Please share my videos everywhere and help get the word out. My models are really easy for most people, especially newer traders, and if I can help people become better at this without getting wrecked, I would love the opportunity to do that. So share it as much as you can. I would really appreciate it. And if you are in a position to join the group to support me, that would be fantastic because I really could use it. The more people that support me by joining the group, the more time I can spend teaching other people and helping other people, and I don't have to focus so much on trading, because without the group I have to day trade and constantly trade. I don't have time to help people learn or anything like that. So it's a great way to supplement my trading income, because being a day trader for a living only works if you dedicate all of your time exclusively to it, and spending hours and hours a day helping people in a trading community doesn't lend a lot of time to do that. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys find some value in this for people who aren't in the group, and people who are in the group. Hopefully you got into ETH with me. Make sure you have a stop loss. My stop loss right here is set 1.2% below my entry. If I'm wrong and it does dump, I will take a very, very small loss. And if I get the bounce like I'm anticipating, should be a nice potential profit in play. I have a 20x leverage long that I just entered, so that's a nice potential play, even if it only goes up to this trendline resistance, at which point I'll close that leverage long, take the nice big profit, because at 20x, if I enter right here, there we go. If I enter right here and it only goes up to that trendline resistance, that's 2.8%. 2.8% at 20x is 55% profit. So I'll make a nice big profit on that. Then if it breaks through the resistance, I have my normal short-term trade going, and then I can make a lot more money if we get that actual bull run. I don't know if it's going to start right away, but so far this next candle is relatively promising. If you take a look at the hourly, we're getting that first bounce just like I expected. And if you look at the 4 hour, same thing. That next 4 hour candle is green right off the bat, just like I expected. It could still dip down a little bit lower, but overall it's looking really good. We're pretty low on the Stoke, so if we get bullish enough on this candle, we're going to see the Stoke reverse on the 4 hour and turn up. And if we have to wait 4 more hours, as long as we stay relatively semi-bullish or sideways here, we don't have to come down much more. We could ride this wave a little bit more sideways and then make that next push up. Once we make that next push up, at the very least we're getting up into the bottom of the cloud here, and then there's a decent potential we could break up into the cloud, considering the fact that we've gotten the rejection so far on BTC. If BTC makes that push up and gets up into the cloud, it's going to be looking really good. So stay tuned. I'll do another update in a bit. I don't know if I'm going to share that one publicly, but if not, I could probably do a mini one. If I do a long detailed update for the group, I could always do like a 2-minute quick update just for people who follow me on YouTube who aren't in our trading community. All right, that's it for now, guys. I'll touch base with you guys in a bit. If you want to start accumulating those long-term bags, it's not a bad time. I'm adding to mine, so feel free to do the same if you feel like my analysis makes sense. And as always, trade safe, trade smart.